DSW, Designer Shoe Warehouse, is the one-stop shop for all your footwear needs. With sneakers, boots, and everything in between for every style, mood, and occasion, you'll definitely find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. DSW has what you need, but more importantly, they have what you didn't even know you wanted. You never know what you'll find at DSW. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or DSW.com.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone. Happy New Year to all of you, and a special hello to all of my Lolas. We're going to start this new year off right. I hope that 2026 is treating you well. And if it's not treating you well, if you can just tell it to stop, tell it to go to the corner and behave, because I know 2025 was a real rough year for all of us, me included. And I want to make sure that we start off this year with some really good practices, some good intentions, some good direction, and things we should do. Today, I want to talk about something that's a little bit controversial. It is parents' relationships with their teenagers. Now, there are so many conflicting opinions about this, and I want to preface this episode with, if you do any of these 6 things I'm going to tell you not to do, I don't want shame to be your first reaction. If shame is your first reaction, just kind of turn to it, see what it's telling you. A lot of times what shame tells me is that it's something that means a lot to me, something that I hold very, very important, and it's what I want to do really well in. And when I look at it that way, it takes a little bit of the pressure off myself. It makes me tell myself I'm not a bad person. I'm not horrible. I'm not a horrible parent. This shame is just telling me in the direction that I want to go. So if anything like that comes up for you, please, please, please just turn toward it and see what it is telling you. Now, also as parents, many of us were raised in the 90s and the 2000s when all our parents really knew how to do was the carrots and sticks method of parenting. It's like, here you go, you get $20 for every A on your report card. That's the carrot. And oh my gosh, you failed your class. Well, you don't get to go out with your friends for a month. That's the stick. It's really a system that's rooted in punishment, obedience, and shame. And a lot of the research has shown that while those tactics are effective in the short term, you will see short-term improvement if you use them, in the long term, they break down the relationship between child and parent. And what we really are playing here at No Guilt Mom is we're playing the long game. We want good relationships with our kids. We want those relationships that, stand the test of time, and where our kids can come to us when they're adults and not feel like we're going to shame them, or not feel like we're going to tell them they did such and such wrong. We want them to be able to share openly. So if you too are aligned with those goals, with those values, you're going to like this episode. Now, I also need to say that there are a lot of naysayers out there about not using punishment. In fact, a lot of them say that we should use punishment because it prepares kids for the real world. And I think that is an outdated line of thinking. That is the line of thinking that we were raised on. That is what these people know. That's what these people were raised on, who believe that. So if you encounter any of that in your parenting, just know, expect it. And also, proceed with a gentle hand with them. We don't want to try to fight them. We want to just go up to where we are all on the same page. Yes, we want our kids to be successful. Yes, we want them to be raised well. Just the way we do that looks different depending on what your long-term goals are. So with that, remember, this episode isn't about blame. It's about understanding what actually builds kids' motivation, trust, and long-term resilience, according to developmental psychology and motivation theory. And with that, let's get on with the show. Okay, here we go. So in this episode, I am going to go through 6 things that I see a lot of parents doing and offer some little like things you could do instead that would be better for your relationship, better for your kids, better for you. It'll cause you a lot less stress. It'll improve how close your kids feel with you and how you feel towards your kids. So you ready for this? Okay, here's the most controversial one. The first thing not to do is the grounding and taking away privileges, especially for issues like schoolwork. Now, you'd be like, Joanne, how am I going to get my teen to do anything if I can't take away privileges? How? Okay. So let's break this down a little bit. Grounding is often rooted in shame rather than actually teaching kids what to do. I mean, think about when you were grounded when you were younger. I can think back to mine. And one of the reasons I was grounded is because in 7th grade, I brought home an F in math class on my report card. Now, that F, I was struggling in math. I was struggling with what the teacher was telling me. I was struggling socially too. There was a lot of bullying going on in my middle school where I remember one day in math class, one of the boys asked to write on my hand. And I'm like, oh my gosh, a boy's going to write on my hand. And he wrote USDA approved on my hand. And that's the kind of stuff I was dealing with in my math class. And so when I brought home an F, I wasn't asked about what I needed help with. I wasn't asked anything about that. All I was told is like, okay, well, you're grounded until you bring it up. I mean, I was devastated. I felt it was so unfair. I felt like it didn't help me in the situation at all. And I also brought with that a sense of shame. Like, I'm a horrible person. And I should have done better in math. It's only the perspective of time where I can actually look back and see what happened in that situation and wish that an adult had supported me. That's the kind of parent, that's the kind of adult that I want to be to my kids. I want to be that adult who supports kids. Now, there's nothing, I don't want to give any blame to my parents in that. They were just doing what society told them to do. But now that we know differently and we know better, we can go about things in a better way. Because a lot of the times with grounding, and I'm sure with my parents too, they assumed that it was a lack of focus or effort on my part, that somehow I was just off daydreaming in class. And as long as I had this consequence, I would do better. But teens are usually dealing with a multitude of factors. They could be dealing with confusion or with overwhelm or with teacher-related struggles. I was dealing with all of those in my math class. With grounding, what it does is it positions you not as that trusted adult, not as that supportive guide, but as the punitive authority. And if we are here as parents, as the punitive authority, guess what? Kids aren't going to come to us and tell us things. In fact, kids are probably going to hide more stuff from us. They're going to lie to us because they do not want to get punished. And we have not shown them that we are a reliable source that they could come to when they need help. So what do you do instead? Well, as soon as problems come up with your teen, sit down with them and ask them instead of being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you got an F in math class. What are you doing with your time? Change your tone. Ask them, hey, I see there's an F here. What's going on? How can I help? What do you need? When kids are asked what they need, they usually tell you. They do. If there has been a pattern in the past of you being this punitive authority, it'll take a little bit of time for them to tell you. But through being consistent with this and asking, what do you need? How can I help you? They will tell you. And please, 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 if they tell you anything that they need that you can provide, jump on it. Jump on it. Believe them. Help them. And it's going to create the best relationship between you and your kids because there's so much stuff that kids need help with. I mean, there might be skill gaps that they have where extra tutoring can help them. They might have some emotional blocks in there where it's really hard for them to concentrate on something without getting mad, without them putting all the shame on themselves for not knowing the answer. Emotional blocks that really help to talk through either with you sharing your own experience. How frustrated does everyone get with math? I mean, come on. I remember getting so mad when my dad tried to help me with math just because I felt that it meant that I was dumb and he thought I was dumb and he was explaining it to me in this way. It was a huge emotional block on my part. Nothing to do with my dad. A huge emotional block. But just being able to talk about that shame and knowing that you're not the only one who experiences it, it's so big. It is so, so big. And there could also be situational issues that your child is dealing with, things like bullying or stuff like I had to do in my math class, like I had to deal with. So just sit down, talk with them, just find out what they need, find out the root of the issue, because I guarantee you it is not laziness or lack of focus. And if it is lack of focus, it is not something that they can control, nor that will be made better just by grounding them. And then collaboratively, cut that, Michael. And then once you know what's going on, decide on those next steps. Figure out like, hey, would staying home help them? Would like time limits on their cell phone help them? A lot of teens are going to be like, yeah, okay, maybe we need to put this on, especially if you come to them in a collaborative manner instead of being there to punish them. So I know this is a controversial take, and I know you have a lot of questions when it comes to that. Please, please, please let me know all your questions. You can go and connect with me on Instagram at No Guilt Mom. Just DM me. I want to hear from you. And coming up next, we have 5 more things not to do if you want a stronger relationship with your teens. I've been thinking about 2026, and one of my big goals is finally starting a real travel fund, like not just a maybe someday fund or like book the vacation and then hope you have all the money to pay for it, but one that actually makes the trip happen, because I don't want money stress deciding what we say yes to anymore. Managing your money doesn't have to be a struggle this year. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts and investments, net worth, and future planning together in one dashboard on your laptop or phone. Start your new year on the right foot financially and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code NOGUILT. And let's be real, typically New Year's resolutions don't last past February, because when you make them, there's usually wishes. You make wishes, but there's no solid plan. Monarch helps you set realistic financial goals based on your actual life. In fact, in a 2025 survey, Monarch helped users save over $200 per month on average after joining. This new year, achieve your financial goals for good. Monarch is the all-in-one tool that makes proactive money management simple all year long. Use code NOGUILT at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code NOGUILT. The start of a new year always gets me thinking about what I want for myself and what I want for my family. I ask myself the question, how do we set everyone up for success? And for a lot of parents that I know, that question comes up most around school. Maybe your child needs more flexibility. Maybe they learn better at their own pace. And that's why I want to tell you about K-12 powered schools. K-12 powered schools are tuition free. They're online and they're accredited public schools for kindergarten through 12th grade. And what I love most is that they're designed to meet kids where they are. With K-12, your child gets the support they need through a tailored curriculum. They also use hands-on innovative technology to make learning interactive. As a former teacher, I can tell you how important that is. K-12 has more than 25 years of experience helping students build real skills, grow in confidence, and thrive with flexibility and personalized learning. If you're rethinking what school could look like for your child this year, K-12 powered schools are absolutely worth exploring. Join the more than 3 million families who have been served by K-12 and empower your student to reach their full potential now. You can make the switch at any time. Go to k12.com/NGM today to learn more. That's the letter K, the number 12.com/NGM. K12.com/NGM. Whenever I think about meal planning, I feel this wave of anxiety because just the thought of sitting down to do it takes so much time and brain space, like deciding what I want to eat, what my kids will eat, how to make everyone happy. And somehow still get more fruits and vegetables on the table. It's exhausting for me before I even step into the kitchen. That's why Hungry Root has been such a game changer for me. Hungry Root is honestly the easiest way to eat healthy because it does all the thinking for you. It works like a personal nutrition coach and a grocery shopper all in one. You take this quick quiz and tell Hungry Root your preferences. I answered questions like what proteins I like, what flavors I like, what foods I don't like, and especially like I'm thinking of my kids there too, and also how you like to cook. And then Hungry Root builds this entire meal plan and sends it straight to your door. And the meals range from super simple, like these quick microwave options, to chef-inspired recipes that feel elevated, but are still easy to make. It makes everyone happy. Most importantly, me. It makes me happy. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/NGM and use code NGM. That's hungryroot.com/NGM, code NGM to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. Okay, so we went over the grounding. Number 2, let's talk about inappropriate clothing, okay, especially for girls, because girls are often criticized repeatedly about the clothing they wear, so much more than boys are. I mean, there was an issue at my daughter's school where girls were getting dress coded because a bra strap was showing from their shoulder. And I mean, any woman out there knows that at one time or another, we've had bra straps poking out of our clothes, because guess what? We wear bras. Total fact. I don't know why we have so scandalized the bra strap, but when girls are dress coded for that, it really communicates shame about the body. And it also criticizes their self-expression as well. And I know all of the pushback against it, like girls wear quote unquote slutty clothing, which I think just using that word towards girls in general is a very, very harmful thing to do. Because when we are comparing guys, for instance, and this happened at my daughter's school and I brought it up with the administration, guys for like a spirit day were allowed to have their shirts off and it was deemed totally appropriate. Where meanwhile, the district required student government to Photoshop any midriffs of girls that were showing. I'm not talking like girls like showing their entire midsection. I'm talking about little, like an inch of midriff showing. The student government has to Photoshop it out. And when we as parents are also criticizing our kids' clothing, particularly girls, that shame seeps in. It seeps in, and it's really reinforcing societal pressures rather than supporting the teen's identity. Now, you might be saying, but Joanne, they have to know what goes on in the real world. And they will know what goes on in the real world. I'm not saying that you put them in a bubble or you just don't tell them anything. I have conversations with my daughter and I'm like, hey, some people are going to deem like showing your midriff or showing your bra strap as inappropriate. How do you want to deal with that? And a lot of times teens are like, I don't care. And maybe sometime in the future they will care. But positioning yourself as being supportive towards that, being that guide who warns against what society expects, you are giving your teen such an advantage because they won't have shame going into it. They're going to have knowledge going into it. And then they have the opportunity to make their own choices. And sometimes they're going to choose wrong. They are going to choose wrong. And many teens that I know, they don't go out and purposefully like wear a thong to school and that's it. It's not going to happen that way. They are aware of what society expects of them. And sometimes they do push it a little bit. And that's okay. They're figuring out who they are and what they want. And they don't need us as parents being the criticizer. So explore that relationship that you have with your teen regarding clothing and what kind of discussions you just want to make them aware of. And then they can make their own decisions and find out if that's for them or not. And maybe that even sounds really scary to you, letting your teen make their own decisions. But I promise you that you are not going to have the pushback, and your child wants what's best for them. Your child wants to succeed. Your child wants to be accepted in the world, but not at the expense of their own identity. So the more you push back against that identity, the more pushback that you're going to receive from your kid. So that's number 2. Don't criticize the clothing all the time, because I know that even with me, it slips out to you. And that's true with all of these. Okay. Number 3. Thing not to do, yelling and losing your cool. Now, this is one for so many people. In fact, most women, most moms who come to me at No Guilt Mom, they tell me that they found me because they feel like a bad mom. They are so stressed. They are so overwhelmed that they end up yelling at their kids for the littlest things, and they feel it. So if you are one of those people, yes, we are in this incredibly stressful experience. Modern motherhood is so demanding, and what society expects from us seems to be impossible to reach. So just know that before we go into this. Yelling and losing your cool is a really valuable thing to work on not doing. And notice how I said that, work on it. I don't expect you to go from losing it with your kids to automatically being so in control and being like the calmest mother ever. I don't expect that. But when you work on keeping your cool, it is a very, very valuable practice, because here's the thing. When people yell, our cortisol, which is one of our stress hormones, that spikes, our adrenaline spikes, that feeling that you have a headache, that feeling that you have a stomach ache, all caused by those hormones. No one can use actual reason, nor can anyone learn when they're in that state. And I mean, just let that sink in. No one can learn from their behavior when that you're in that state. They might find that, okay, if I do this, mom's going to yell at me, so I'm not going to do this in front of mom. And that's a real theme when it comes to punishment, because you get short little responses and it works short term, but what do you lose from it? You lose that relationship with your kid. So knowing that yelling shuts down communication, knowing that it increases defensiveness and it damages connection, it is such a good thing to work on. So what's an alternative? First of all, use yelling as your signal. If you feel like you're going to lose it, if you're going to yell, or if you even feel those precursors to yelling, like you feel like your anxiety building and it's bubbling up, use that as a signal to be like, hey, something is really overwhelming me in this entire situation, and I need to either step out of it, I need to take a little 5-minute break. I need to really figure out what is going on. Now, that is not going to happen easily, because a lot of people ask me Joanne, how can I stop yelling at my kids? And you can't stop it in the moment. It's actually something that you do after the moment. It's reflection. It's figuring out what your triggers are. It's practicing how you want to react to those triggers versus how you are reacting. So know that it doesn't happen in the moment. And with a little journaling and some reflection and some things that we work on in Balance, it's possible to stop yelling. A lot of our members have done so. So if you're interested in that, I have put the link to Balance in the show notes. Little Easter egg here, if you call it an Easter egg. I'm actually going to be changing the name to Balance to the No Guilt Mom Society, and you can become part of the society. And I'm really, really excited about that. Yeah, if you listened to this episode and heard the change, could you go DM me over at Instagram? Tell me what you think about that, the No Guilt Mom Society. I'm super excited for what that could bring to everybody, just being a society member. I'm super excited about it. So yeah, go DM me. So we've done 3 so far. We have 3 more to go. Okay, ready? Number 4, banning certain friends. Okay, show of hands. How many of you have had a friend of your child's that you just don't like, right? I totally have. I have. And it's so difficult as a parent to watch the interactions with that friend. But when we ban friends from our kids, what we are telling them is I don't trust your judgment. And that's a really, really powerful, sad message to get across to our kids. I don't trust your judgment. You might see red flags. based on your experience, you will probably see red flags in certain friends of your kids. I know I did. I know I did from hearing that this person gossiped about other people in front of my child. Like, that's a rule I always follow. If they're gossiping about other people, they're probably gossiping about me. Or just little tidbits that I heard from other parents that this child wasn't respectful, or this child did such and such to so and so. You will see red flags because you have so much experience. And typically teens see them too. They really, really do. But for teens, it is a choice usually between that social exclusion of dumping that friend or just keeping the friend and going along with it. And that social exclusion can seem so much more painful to a teenager than it does to us. So what can you do when you see this friend and you don't want your teens to be friends with them? You stay open, you stay curious, you stay away from judgment about the friend so that you remain this open, trusted source. Because what happens is that your teen is probably going to come talk to you about this friend. And then you're going to be able to offer your support and offer your advice about things that this friend is doing or not doing. And that is such a more powerful position to be in than to ban the friend and then have your teen hang out with the friend secretly and then the teen not tell you anything that's going on, which I have seen happen, which is usually what teens do when they're forced to ban certain friends. They'll still see that friend, you just won't know about it. And that's a hard truth to accept. So I encourage you to stay open about it. And this process is all trial and error with them. They're going to find out that their friends will hurt them emotionally, and it is going to help them pick better friendships in the future. So coming up, I have 2 more things not to do if you want a good relationship with your teens.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
This podcast is supported by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife? Feeling dismissed, unheard, or just plain tired of the old healthcare system? You're not alone. In fact, even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause issues are left entirely untreated. But it's time for a change. It's time for MIDI. MIDI's not just a healthcare provider. It's a women's telehealth clinic founded and supported by world-class leaders in women's health. Their clinicians provide one-on-one, face-to-face consultations where they truly listen to your unique needs. They offer a full range of holistic, data-driven solutions that isn't one-size-fits-all care. This is care uniquely tailored for you. At MIDI, you will find that their mission is clear: to help all women thrive in midlife, giving them access to the health care they deserve. Because they believe midlife isn't the middle at all. It is the beginning of your second act. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized, insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.
AI had the time of my life. AI never felt this way before.
From building timelines to assigning the right people and even spotting risks across dozens of projects, Monday Sidekick knows your business, thinks ahead, and takes action. One click on the star and consider it done.
And I owe it all to you.
Try Monday Sidekick. AI you'll love to use on Monday.com.
Okay, number 5, saying no to your teen without conversation. This happens so much to kids. Like, things are made without their input, without trying to find out why a behavior is happening. We talked about it a little bit with the grades, but you can see this happening everywhere. You can see it happening with schools, for instance. My daughter's school just put in place a really, really strict tardy policy. And I get the frustration. I mean, high school students were coming in late with Starbucks in their hands and like had no sense of urgency whatsoever. However, The high school never talked with kids about this tardy policy. We forget as adults that kids really want the best for themselves. Like they want to do well. They want to succeed and when we don't ask for their input or how they see situations, we really miss out on what they can bring to a situation. And we also make our lives as parents a lot harder. Like, let's just face it. The best way to negotiate is to make sure that you can get people on the same page of what they both want. And when we try to fight our kids and we try to fight our teens and we say no to them without getting their input, we have no chance of getting them to agree with us. No chance at all. And we will have a harder time enforcing whatever thing that we want them to do. We have to get them on our side. We have to. And you might be a little scared about this and be like, well, like if I didn't say no, then my teen would just stay out till like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning and never come home. I say, well, let's talk about that. Do the teens know what natural consequences are going to happen when they stay out till 2 and 3 in the morning? I mean, here in my city, there's a curfew for teens at noon. And my daughter's a driver and she's aware of that curfew. She's also aware of how her lack of sleep can affect school the next day. She's also aware about how like her using her phone could prevent sleep, can prevent attention, can prevent interaction with friends. All of these wonderful things that I want her to have knowledge about so that she can make these decisions on her own when she moves out of the house. She has them. There is no reason I ever have to say no to her without conversation because we talk it out. Sometimes, most of the times actually, when we talk it out, she brings up things that I had never even thought of. Like it never occurred to me how it could be an issue, how like she never gets to see such and such friends, but the friend works until 10 p.m. on a Saturday night. And so there's no time to hang out with them. That's a real concern for kids who love their friends, even adults who love their friends. So these unilateral decisions, they shut down communication and they make teens feel powerless. And we do not want to raise a teen who feels powerless. Those kind of people just listen to everybody else around them, have everyone else tell them what to do. And that's an even more dangerous situation. We want our teens to have confidence in their decisions. We want our teens to have confidence in standing up for themselves, even if it's against us. Because when we start having those conversations, we're teaching them how to gain agreement with people. And also we're teaching them what a person looks like when they are being obstinate, when they are being stubborn, and why you as a person don't have to deal with that. I mean, there's so many things that we're giving them. So some alternatives is ask them, why is this important to you? Really get curious and figure out what is going to happen. Now, there's a story one of my friends shares all the time where her daughter's dad asked which, social media is important to her and why she wants to use it. She told him, and then he took that one away instead of the other one because it would hurt more. And that is just building up for no relationship at all with a teen in the future. None. That is untrustworthy and that is cruel. So ask them, why is this important to you? And really, really listen, because you're going to find out some great nuggets and find out more about your teen and how they tick, which is really interesting. You can also ask them, help me understand your plan for keeping this safe and responsible. They might have one, or they might not have thought of it. And that will bring so much more safety to your child versus just giving them a unilateral no. So with that, we're on to number 6. Number 6, we're going to bring it back to number 1, bring it back to that grounding and grades. Because if you do not want a strong relationship with your kids, like put that excessive emphasis on grades, just put it on the grades, make grades the be all end all. It is so stressful for kids these days in terms of grades. Grades, like as a former teacher, grades are only one often imperfect measure of learning. They don't mean everything. They don't show what a kid really gained in the class. I have seen situations where parents are checking every single assignment that comes into the student portal and ask their child, well, did you do the best on that? Just flip it around a little bit. Like, what would happen if your boss at work came to you and asked if you did the best on every single project you did? Like, you don't do the best on every single project you do. You can't. There's so much to get done. You do what you need to do, and then you focus on your priorities. And when we put excessive emphasis on grades, kids do anything to get the good grade. In fact, a lot of like what I've seen, especially my daughter go through, is she has now realized that grades are not a reflection of her learning, but a reflection of what the teacher prefers. Even in getting ready for SATs and PSATs, SATs do not measure knowledge or intelligence. They don't. They measure how well your student can take a test. There are so many tricks and tips for the SAT, such as if the answer doesn't appear in the text, like a reading text, then it's not the correct answer. So all of those questions I was taking as a teen when I was taking the SAT, and I was like reading the responses and I'm like, oh, that's true. That's true too. I hadn't been versed on the game of the test. So I didn't know that. And thus I probably got a much lower score than I could have. But do you see how it's a game with rules to be played? So this excessive emphasis on grades, just first know, are we trying to teach our kids to play the game, or are we trying to teach our kids to actually love learning and love acquiring knowledge and growing from there? It's a big difference. And putting excessive emphasis on grades, it does not promote getting that knowledge and intelligence. In fact, a lot of the students who get the high grades in some classes, they don't touch the subject after that because it was so miserable playing the game and trying to get that A. So what can you do instead? Well, you can focus on skill building, focus on your child's interests and their curiosity and their emotional well-being in school, which is so important, which I know there are people out there who's like, oh, kids just need to suffer and they need to deal with it because that's what I did when I was a kid. And don't we now have the opportunity to make a change in how the world works and how much pressure everybody's under? Like, we as adults feel the pressure. Why are we putting that on our kids? Why? Like, can't we raise kids to see that their emotional well-being is just as important, if not more important, than getting an A in the class? I have very low expectations for society to ever come to that. That is a very pie in the sky attitude I have. I will admit it. But what a different world it would be if we prioritize that. And also with the same question that we asked students before grounding, our teens before grounding, asking what support do you need versus why didn't you get an A? Like, let's remove some of the pressure from our kids and let's build curiosity and love of learning. So how do you guys feel about this one? Is there any shame present? Can we look at the shame right now and just look at it as, this just may be a direction you want to explore more. It does not mean you're a bad parent. Far from it. You are here. You are getting better every day. You are listening to the podcast. You are trying to improve. You're not a bad parent. And this shame, if any of it pops up, it's just a little direction signal. That's it. Okay. Teens want to do well. They want connection. And I know that we want connection with them. And when you're able to switch from that control of your teen to collaboration, teens will step into the responsibility naturally. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing to watch. So just pick one small change you're going to make this week. Don't try to do all 6. That's just going to be overwhelming. And then observe how your teen responds to it. A lot of times when you switch your behavior, teens are like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's gotten into you? Which is also a really funny thing to watch. So please share this episode with anyone who has a teen. Know that I always love your reviews on Apple Podcasts. That helps the podcast get shown to more people. And until next time, remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you. I'll see you later.
This podcast is supported by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife, feeling dismissed, unheard, or just plain tired of the old healthcare system? You're not alone. In fact, even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause issues are left entirely untreated. But it's time for a change. It's time for MIDI. MIDI's not just a healthcare provider. It's a women's telehealth clinic founded and supported by world-class leaders in women's health. Their clinicians provide one-on-one, face-to-face consultations where they truly listen to your unique needs. They offer a full range of holistic, data-driven solutions that isn't one-size-fits-all care. This is care uniquely tailored for you. At MIDI, you will find that their mission is clear: to help all women thrive in midlife, giving them access to the healthcare they deserve. Because they believe midlife isn't the middle at all. It is the beginning of your second act. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized, insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.